Welcome! In this short video today, we will take a look at how essential questions, learning objectives, and can-do statements drive the meaning and focus of proficiency-based units and lessons. Our objectives for our short time together today are that you will be able to understand the first steps in the backwards design model, identifying outcomes, understand how essential questions, learning objectives, and can-do statements are tied to assessment, and understand how essential questions, learning objectives, and can-do statements help teachers and students prioritize and focus on what is important. In designing our resources, Wayside applies the backwards design planning process, beginning with the end in mind. That is, each unit builds on what students will need to know and be able to do in order to demonstrate their communicative skills and cultural and content knowledge by the end of the unit. So we developed the essential questions and unit goals. And then we built the summative assessment and integrated performance assessment that we call Vive EntreCulturas in the Spanish series and J'y arrive in the French series. We're going to take a look at those in another instructional video. The unit activities, communicative tasks, and formative assessments were developed based on authentic resources with the integrated performance assessment in mind. Today, we're not going to look at the assessment or planning for instructions. There are other videos in our Wayside Instructional Library that address those. Today, we're going to look more closely at essential questions, learning goals or learning objectives, and learning targets or can-do statements. So what are essential questions and why are they essential to our resources? According to Grant Wiggins and Jay Mateague, essential questions are what drive the meaning and purpose of the unit. One meaning of essential includes the terms important and timeless. Essential questions in this sense arise naturally and recur throughout one's life. Such questions are broad in scope and universal by nature. Again, according to Jay Mateague and Grant Wiggins, the following are characteristics of essential questions. Essential question is open-ended, that is, it typically will not have a single, final, and correct answer. It's thought-provoking and intellectually engaging, often sparking discussion and debate. It calls for higher order thinking, such as analysis, inference, evaluation, prediction, and it cannot be effectively answered by recall alone. Essential question points towards important transferable ideas within and sometimes even across disciplines. A good essential question raises additional questions and sparks further inquiry. It requires support and justification, not just an answer. And an essential question recurs over time. That is, the question can and should be revisited again and again and again. So let's look at some examples of essential questions in EntreCulturas Level 1. What helps students engage in their school community? What factors support student learning and success? What do families and households look like? What is the culture of your family like, and how has it changed from past generations? You can read the rest yourself. But as you look through those questions, what I want you to really ask yourself is, are they open-ended? Are they thought-provoking? Do they call for a higher order thinking and not just recall of vocabulary or past or concepts? Are they important and transferable? Would they apply to learners at various stages of their life? Do they require support and justification? And are they recurring questions that you're able to explore really at any level of language proficiency? Let's look at some more examples, this time from EntreCulturas Level 2. Actually, EntreCultures Level 2. So this is the French series. How about these questions? What helps students engage in their school community? What factors support student learning and success? What do households and families look like? Let's go down. How does food connect cultures, communities, and families? I love this one. How does my shopping choices reflect who I am? What can you learn about yourself and another culture by traveling? So how about these questions? Do they make you think and not just recall previous learning? Could these ideas transfer and cross over to any other unit or another discipline? Do they require support and justification? Is there opportunity for personalization? Are different students going to answer these questions differently? Is there more than one right answer? Could there be discussion and debate over any of these questions? Are they recurring questions that they are able to be explored at various levels of language proficiency? So could you still talk about what do families and households look like if the student is at a novice high proficiency or if they're at an intermediate low? Could they still discuss it? So after the meaning and purpose of the unit has been established through strong essential questions, Wayside uses unit objectives then to talk and focus students' interest and attention and learning on what's important. So these unit objectives are based on the World Languages Standards, and again, are meant to focus students' attention and teachers' attention and learning in order to move them forward in their communicative and intercultural proficiency. Let's look at the unit objectives from EntreCulturas 1, Unidad 1, so level 1 of Spanish, Unit 1. Note how these objectives move students forward in their proficiency, how they address the 3 modes of communication and the National World Language Standards, and how they provide clear understanding of what students should know and be able to do at the end of the unit. Now let's look at the same unit objectives and how they are tied to the assessment and what students are able to do. So in this example, you can see that each part of the integrated performance assessment at the end is directly tied to the unit learning goal in the 3 modes of communication. First, the student interpret video to learn more about Isaac and Marina. Then students write an email to exchange information through an interpersonal phase. And then students present information about themselves by recording their own video blog. If you want to learn more about the integrated performance assessments and assessments in the Wayside series, please access those videos from the Wayside Professional Development Video Library. So how do the can-do statements fit into all of this? The can-do statements provide clear direction to focus learning language efforts that help them meet the learning objectives of the unit. The can-do statements are modeled after the necessful, actful can-do statements, but they're customized for the unit that's being taught. The can-do statements break the learning goals into small, manageable learning chunks and allow students to reflect on their progress towards their language and cultural goals. Now that we've explored how Wayside identifies the outcomes for language learning with essential questions, learning objectives, and can-do statements, now we're ready to move on to the second step in understanding by design planning, determining acceptable evidence. Please watch the next video on integrated performance assessments and assessments in the Wayside Professional Development Library for more information on that. Thank you for watching this video on essential questions, learning objectives, and can-do statements. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us at info@waysidepublishing.com, and we are happy to provide the extra support that you need. Thank you.